Hi, this is Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another review of versus comparison of two great, very powerful phones. Both happen to be from our good friends at ATT to ATT.com with the fastest download upload speeds. Now, this here on the left to me is the new LG G Flex. This is the newest thing on the market. The thing actually bends flex, has a curved screen and body to it, and it also has a self-healing back and a few other toys, treats, and tricks that we'll talk about. We're going to do a versus comparison today against the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, which also is known as a phablet. And we're going to put these two babies head-to-head and see which one wins. It's really going to be up to you which works best for you. Be sure to watch the other reviews we've done of both these phones against many of the major phones that are out in the marketplace. Check it out on our YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. So, with the LG G Flex, what we have is Android 4.2.2. It's got a size dimension of 6.32 inches, 3.21 in width, and 0.31 inches in thickness. It's got a weight of 6.24 ounces at 177 grams. Now, on the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, you're looking at 4.4 Android OS. The dimensions are 5.95 in height, 3.12 in width, 0.33 inches in thickness, 5.93 ounces, about 168 grams for those of you across the pond, comparatively to the LG 177. So the LG is a little bit heavier than the Note 3, definitely larger in size, as you can obviously see here. The other difference is it has a 6-inch screen, which is something else. 6-inch screen. Now, unfortunately, one thing disappointed me, it came in at 720p on the screen instead of 1080p that you find on the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 beside it. But I do have to tell you, the screen is so big and beautiful and curves inward towards you, you almost don't notice. It's really nice. Now, it has 245 pixels per inch, or PPI. Flipping over to the Note 3, you're looking at a screen size of 5.7 inches, 1080p screen, and 386 PPI. Very beautiful, beautiful screen on the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. The one thing I will tell you, the LG G Flex actually feels more comfortable to me than the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 because it curves upwards towards me as instead of falling away from me because of the curve. It also kind of feels more fun to look at when it's laying horizontal or you're holding it horizontal because it kind of feels like a theater screen that kind of wraps around you as opposed to just being flat. So it gives a kind of a cool aspect to it. So I'll give you that. On the cameras are very similar, but I think the LG has really outdone themselves here, and we'll get into why that is. It's a 13 megapixel camera on the LG, and it's 1080p, 60 frames per second, 2.1 megapixels. This thing will do up to 4K video recording you can take and do, as well the Samsung, and we'll get into some of that. So on the Samsung Note 3, what we're looking at on this is a 13 megapixel camera, let's see here, it's 1080p, of course, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, and you can also do 4K video with it. So very important to note there. Both these have the new Qualcomm chips that have the 4K enabled on them. Now, the 4K is 30 frames per second on the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. 2 megapixel front-facing camera. Okay, so let's get into the hardware. The Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 is on the LG, and it has a quad-core 2.26 gigahertz, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage on the LG. Comparatively, the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 processor, quad-core, 2.3 gigahertz, and 3 gigabytes of RAM. I don't think I've seen many phones that have 3 gigabytes of RAM, if any, at least not in the US. 32 gigabytes of built-in storage, and one advantage over the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 is it has expandable micro SD memory up to 64 gigabytes, while the LG does not have a removable back or removable battery for that matter, which we'll get into. On the LG, you're looking at a battery of 3,500 milliamps, which is just a giant, huge battery, and you can get lots of battery life out of it. Comparatively, not far off, the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 has 3,200 milliamp hour battery, and not far off there when it comes down to it. When you have both these phones, you can get a lot of battery life out of both of them. Now you can see they're almost about the same size, not much difference here. Like I say, ergonomically, I like the LG's curvature, which I'll show you in a second, that makes a difference. They both have pretty much the same OS on them when it comes to both these. Now, the LG has added many features that you find on the Samsungs with the cameras and the different settings that you can take and do, some of the additional stuff that you could do, one-hand operation gestures, things of this nature. They have a whole thing of, there's a wireless storage they put on here. I still haven't got this to work for me, but wireless storage, basically you're supposed to be able to put your IP address up and people can access the storage on the phone. I haven't gotten it to work for some reason. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. But you can see here they've got a number of different things that you can take and do. They even have a feature where they have these quick slide apps which go over the screen and you can move them around kind of like separate windows. They do have the multi sort of windows that the Samsung has, which are kind of interesting. You also have your IR blasters on both these where you can control TVs, things of that nature, and everything else. But for the most part, it's still fairly limited compared to the Samsung. When you look at the Samsung's add-on features, it has the air view, the hover, where you can wave, do different things. There's a lot more you can do with it. I don't think consumers use much of that as much as they would like people to use them, the people who make these phones. But it's really up to you. You can play with them, see what you think, and everything else. Both have interesting features from that aspect, and maybe you'll use them, maybe you won't. One big difference, the LG is a phablet, but it does not have a stylus, wherein the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 does have a stylus. So let's talk about them. Up here on the LG, you got your front-facing camera, your speaker, you've got a capacitive touchscreen home button, back button, and menu. One issue that I have with this is as the apps get updated to LG, some of the apps and games will still have this sidebar showing in the game, which is really weird, and it turns a grayish color, which is distracting when you're playing the game. I'm sure that will change as more people update their software developers to the LG. With the Samsung, you're looking at front-facing speaker here, front-facing camera, some sensors. You have a home button per se and a capacitive menu and back button with both of these. Flipping around to the back, they both have fairly good designs on the back of them. Now, as you can see here, there's the curved aspect of the LG Flex, which gives it its name. We'll show you that here in a second as we get done rounding around with all the devices. And basically you can flex. Also on this back material here, it's supposed to be self-healing material where it can heal, especially if you do different things like warm cloth or coldness over it. Some people notice it's kind of a gimmick. It does kind of heal a little bit, but if you really look, you can still see deep scars. It's really up to you what you want to do. You can take a look at it and see what works for you. Now, there's some real big differences here. The IR blaster that is coming out on most phones is found in the top of the phones, like it is on the Note 3 and other phones. In this case, they put the IR blaster right next to the camera. You kind of have to hold the phone like this towards your TV to get the IR blaster to work. You got the camera right here, your flash lamp, and you actually have your volume up and volume down, and your power button, the notification light right back here. Very, very interesting. Now, on one hand, it is kind of cool to have the power back there. On the other hand, it's kind of a little hard to deal with because you're always reaching for the volume and you can't find it, and you're getting your fingerprints 9 times out of 10 all over the camera eye, which is kind of a pain. You constantly have to clean it. With the Galaxy Note 3, of course, you have the speaker here on the G Flex. With the Galaxy Note 3, you've got your camera, your flash lamp, and you've got this kind of faux leather background. You've got your stylus here. Now, you also have a removable, and one thing that's going to pop out is my QI charger. This normally would not come with your Note 3, but you have a removable battery. You have a place right here for your micro SD to expand the memory, and you can do that at will, and many people like that aspect of it. Let's go ahead and pull these aside, and you can take a look at the flexing features of the of the LG Flex. And basically what this is designed to do is be in a position where it can flex and take a beating. You can kind of half sit on it, and whatever, it can come under pressure and it will hopefully still survive, or at least that's the idea behind it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top of both these. You can see the top of the LG has got a microphone hole, and on the Samsung we have the earphone jack, microphone hole, and the IR blaster. Coming to the bottom, you have the earphone jack on the bottom of the LG, microphone hole, and a port for sync charging. And then we also have the stylus, of course, on the Samsung. Small speaker on the bottom. I really like the speaker on the bottom. That makes an incredible difference over the other Samsung Galaxy things where it was on the back. So it makes a huge difference. You've got a sync port charger area that is basically designed with the, you kind of have that SCSI sort of plug-in. It works with USB 3.0, which makes it very fast to get it recharged. Small microphone hole there. Looking down the side of the LG, nothing really to see here on the right side. Power button on the Note 3. On the LG, let's see, we're looking at a SIM card tray right here on the LG, and then we have the volume rocker on the Note 3. Very good design for both these phones. It really just depends on what your taste is and what your phone preference is. By the way, these phones are both available at our good friends at ATT, so go to ATT.com, tell them Chris Voss sent you. One thing that is interesting about the LG G Flex is they do have one of their innovations, very cool, I wanted to point out. Now, your power button is on the back. One thing they've come up with is if you double tap on the front of the screen, you can bring it in and out of lock. So, just by double tapping the screen, you can pull it out of lock and away you go. Pretty smart, innovative. I actually found myself using it, so I think consumers will like that feature. Okay, so here we have the Geekbench 3 scores. We have 813 single-core score versus 929 on the Note 3, and 1925 multi-core score on the LG versus the Note 3 2900. I do have to tell you the Note 3 does feel fast to me, partially because most likely, even though they're running close to the same Android and they're very close in the gigahertz they're running on their chips, the real big difference probably here is going to be in the memory, where you have basically a lot more memory that's being used, up to 3 gig technically, on the Note 3, and it just feels like a faster device because of that. Both have really smooth operation to them, but I think when it comes down to it, that little extra boost to the memory gives the Note 3 that extra juice. Okay, now when it comes to pictures and everything, I'm super impressed with the LG G Flex camera. I think they're very similar in what both cameras do. Most of it's built into the Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 processor chip technology anyway, so they're very similar, but LG has made some inroads that I think make their pictures much better, and I think the quality is much better. And I think the flash lamp on the LG is better from our testing of it. One thing that's interesting, you can see it here, they actually have crosshairs that LG has come up with, where they'll have focusing crosshairs on the picture thing, and you can kind of control them and choose where the crosshairs want to take and go and what you want to take and focus in. It's pretty brilliant, almost like a Canon camera or other sort of DSLR, when you'll see the crosshairs kick into gear there. I think you can see them kicking in, then turn green for the focus. I think that's really, really brilliant. Their menus are really easy to see. I like how they set them up, and their changes they made for the settings makes it really easy to do stuff as opposed to some of the other Android phones out there. And I like the menus they set up and everything else, and it's really easy to take and control. It has most of the same features you're going to find on the Note 3, so there's no use in comparison the redundancies of both these, but I do like the features, and I do think the phones are much better, or the pictures that you're going to get are going to be way much better, the video especially, than the Note 3. And I've spent a lot of time with the Note 3 being my personal phone, and I'm just more impressed with the pictures coming off the LG, and so I'd highly recommend it, especially on the video. Okay, so all in all, I really like both these phones. In fact, the Note 3 I use pretty much specifically for myself, but I have been having some fun with the big screen, and it's fun to kind of watch video on with the LG G Flex. It's really up to you to decide which phone works for you. Go to our good friends at ATT.com. That's ATT.com with the fastest download and upload speeds. Pick one of these phones that works best for you, or one of the other wonderful phones they have on their website. Thanks to them for sharing it with us. And also be sure to watch our other videos that we have, which review all the other cool stuff that we've taken and reviewed, comparing versus phone comparisons. Give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, tell a friend, and help us keep bringing the good stuff to you. Thanks for coming by the ChrisVossShow.com. Be sure to check back in often.